Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we are getting into another Jurassic World review. This is Jurassic World Cast Theory Epic Evolution line, Parasaurolophus, and this is from the Wild Roar Action Feature Edition with lights and sounds. And let's just take a quick look at the back of the box before we jump into it. So what's interesting about this is that from the previous series or season, if you want to consider it one thing, Camp Cretaceous, they had Parasaurolophus in a cave where he had neon effects and lighting. And I think this is kind of going off that. If someone was curious to know why they have a lighting effect on him. And the reasoning is because of that. That in that they were in caves and they had this kind of bioluminescence going on. Was the other dinosaurs from the line, similar line. And so that is kind of where they're going with that for those who didn't know. Now jumping into the figure, I I have never had one of these before in person or on the channel before. So I can't really speak to it necessarily, but of any previous version. But the size of this figure is definitely a nice size. The detail and the color, whether you're a fan or not, it definitely seems like it really hits towards, like I said, the previous series of the um, of the Camp Cretaceous. So there you have the sound and the lights. I thought it was an action roar like the other ones because it says wild roar. But the other ones use the wheel and they actually have an action. So this doesn't have an action. The jaw looks like it moves. Let's see if it does. It does. It's just very stiff. But that's cool that you at least have that. The details on it look nice. The eyes look nice. Very nice detailing. They could have had coloration going down the tail, but obviously that's a common thing in the Jurassic World and Park figures. It was a QR scan before I forget. I really like the tail and the proportions. Another thing too, as I mentioned before in a couple of videos back about the new design of a lot of these dinosaurs, they give it a very dynamic pose and a very dynamic weight to it in the sense, like not the physical weight, but the visual weight of how you could see the heaviness that kind of how they do the shoulders. A lot of dinosaurs are doing this now. You have the shoulder muscle here separated by a line of the fat of the belly. So you know that belly has its own kind of dynamic versus the shoulder muscles. And it creates this kind of roundness to it, this dimensional fat sack of the belly that would be in these dinosaurs. And then the leg muscles here, and even continuing it here, where there's a bit of a separation right there in that little crevice right there, letting you know that there's that dynamic of it, including the fact that we have this V pose that I mentioned before, even on the meat eaters, that it's on the theropods where it's a big, to me, it's a great improvement versus some of the other lines, the older lines, where it would just be either flat across, or maybe they have them angled standing, upwards. And this just really shows a more gravity, natural weight to it, the way it sits, the way it stands, with all that heavy weight coming down here, which is why it has to walk on all fours to support itself. And though there's a dinosaur that can lean itself upwards, nonetheless, its general pose would be that of being more downward because it's a very heavy dinosaur and look at all this weight of the tail and whatnot. So I really like that they get into that and show that. Same general coloring on the side. Now we're going to bring in Owen here for size comparison at roughly 6 feet. You could see that size looks very nice. And I'm sorry, Parasaurolophus Parasaurolophus. There we go. I'm going to keep butchering this for a while because I haven't said it in a long time. But is a dinosaur that, one, he was featured in the very first Jurassic Park movie, but off in the distance by the water hole when the scene with the Brachiosaurus, where you can see in the background. And nonetheless is a dinosaur of one of those kind of duckbill types that is known to be pretty big, usually the prey of, say, a T-Rex or something of that sort. But it's just very big. And this, I feel, depicts a very nice size for him. So the size that I had looked up as, and he's not going to fit his exact measurement, but I think he's going to come with a decent realm or decent in that decent realm or range of something that is significant. This dinosaur is supposed to be depicted as 30 feet long and about 5.5 tons at its max. Now, you don't have to say that this is a full grown version of Parasaurolophus, but nonetheless, you do get a decent size. Now I have him here at 11 inches long with his curve. So obviously, if he is less curved, he might extend to 12 feet. So you can just add that if you want to, but 11 feet. And then as far as the height goes, we're looking at a little over 5, so say 5 1/4. So doing the measurements, we have him at 8.4 feet tall. I'm sorry. And then as far as the length goes, we have 17.6 feet long. So not as big as it should be depicted, but it still looks nice next to, a regular man. It's still, I like it. I like the details on it. The coloring is not a more darker kind of color, which I usually prefer more muted colors, but nonetheless, for the scene that was depicted in, if I'm not mistaken, that they did have brighter colors like this. But nonetheless, I think the sculpting is really nice. And I think the size is very fitting to the other dinosaurs that you have around. Not going to be the biggest version of this dinosaur, but nonetheless, it's still pretty nice. Link's going to be in the description below. As always, you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.